This was the first visit by the prince to the U.S. since the CIA found him responsible for the killing of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi.
All right, so the president defended the prince when he was pressed on the issue in the Oval Office by ABC News' Mary Bruce.
Yes, those questions triggered, as we all saw, a very fiery exchange between Mary and the president. Mary Bruce is joining us right now this morning. It is so good to have you. We appreciate it. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of this, we want to know the basics first. Why was Mohammed bin Salman there to begin with?
Yeah, well, Charlene, that in and of itself is a very good question. President Trump has certainly been eager to deepen ties with Saudi Arabia. Of course, he visited Saudi Arabia back in May as his first foreign trip of this term. It was also the first stop of his first term as well. And Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince, came here with some major new financial commitments. He announced that he's agreed to invest almost $1 trillion in the U.S. That, of course, was welcomed news by President Trump, who really yesterday pulled out all the stops, truly rolling out the red carpet here, quite literally and figuratively. I mean, there were horses on parade. There was a military flyover. The president giving the crown prince a personal tour of the West Wing. So they are very close, and the president is eager to deepen those ties and also show off that relationship. But it does, of course, raise questions because Mohammed bin Salman is someone who has long been isolated because of his human rights record. So this really marked a remarkable comeback for the crown prince, and also, of course, raises questions about the intersection that we continue to see between the Trump administration's foreign policy and the Trump family's own personal business, because, of course, the president's family, the Trump organization, also have deep financial ties in the region. All of this hanging over that meeting that us reporters were allowed into in the Oval Office here yesterday.
You're clearly prepared to do your job. Your job is an important one because you are supposed to ask informed questions that are backed by fact to people in power. The CIA under President Trump determined Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi was murdered. The CIA. You brought the issue up directly to the prince and to the president. Mr. Trump didn't seem to like the question. So let's talk about a little bit how that moment was for you as well.
Yeah, and look, in some ways this was surreal because I have to tell you, going into the Oval Office, I really didn't expect the Crown Prince or President Trump to take questions, because the last time they came face to face, the White House didn't allow reporters to ask questions. Of course, Mohammed bin Salman is not someone who often faces off with the press, but it was clear that he was ready to play ball. He was going to be engaging with us, and it seemed that the question had to be asked about his record, about the fact that the CIA, as you note, under Donald Trump, concluded that he orchestrated the brutal murder and dismemberment of Jamal Khashoggi. So let's take a look at that exchange. Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
Painful to hear, anyone that been losing his life for, no real purpose. It's painful, and it's a huge mistake, and we are doing our best that this doesn't happen again.
Is it appropriate, Mr. President, for your family to be doing business in Saudi Arabia while you're president? Is that a conflict of interest?
I have nothing to do with the family business. I have left, and when I've devoted 100% of my energy. What my family does is fine. They do business all over. They've done very little with Saudi Arabia, actually. I'm sure they could do a lot.
And look, you hear the president there insisting there is no conflict of interest, but more broadly, he is defending the human rights record of Mohammed bin Salman, despite what the CIA and U.S. intelligence concluded. And while the Crown Prince was clearly prepared to answer that question, the president was certainly not happy, did not want to discuss it, and was annoyed that, in his words, it was sort of overshadowing the visit.
Oh, he certainly seemed annoyed. Mary, you also asked him about developments in the Epstein files. and his response seemed to be more of an attack on you. Do you and fellow White House press right now, do you start to feel like maybe, I mean, the president just said on Air Force One, he called another journalist, he said quiet piggy to a journalist, a female journalist on that plane. How do you guys feel right now the tension is in the White House, different from what we see on the outside?
Yeah, well, look, I would say that there is a through line here, and it usually is when the president doesn't want to answer a question, he goes on the attack, whether that is, attacking his political rivals, attacking the press, attacking us on deeply personal levels. It really, and this happened again yesterday, showed glaringly that he didn't want to answer the question. And I asked him a simple question, point blank, why is he waiting for Congress to release the Epstein files? He could simply just go ahead and release them now. He really didn't like that question and went on a tirade, but he didn't answer the question. And that's what's notable here. I think when he tangles with the press, it often says more about the president than it does about the person who's asking the question.
Well, Mary, we commend you for being so stoic and brave, because journalism needs it. And we thank you.